Welcoming the newest member of the Indianapolis Colts, Isaac Rochell. You're a native of Georgia. You spent the past few years out in California with the Chargers, but you're no stranger to Indiana because you played college ball at Notre Dame. However, first and foremost, we'll get to the Notre Dame talk. What was attractive to you about signing with Indianapolis?
Yeah, this is a great organization, and I feel like that's said by a lot of people all over the league. Players that have played for the Colts or had like short runnings with the Colts, they always say the same thing: great organization. So that's first, and then second is great team. I mean, you look at this roster, there's so much opportunity to do some great things. So that's second. And then third, obviously, personally, for me, I think it's a great situation to come in, compete, give myself an opportunity to really play, make some plays. And like I said earlier, make the whole Colts organization super excited that they brought me here. So I'm fired up for all three of those things. And it just made sense.
Speaking of making plays, this was an elite defense last year. What is the skill set now that you bring in that can complement guys like DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart that you're going to now be playing alongside?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just D-line concept. It takes four to get a sack, right? It takes four guys to get a sack, all of us working together. So I think that's first, just the pass rushing ability. And then I think also just as a player, I have a lot of versatility. So versatility in two ways. One, run and pass, right? Like I think I do a great job of stopping the run. I can rush a passer. And then the other way that I consider myself to be versatile is just this idea on third down. I think I can play end. I think I can play three tech. I think, you look at the sacks that I've had in my career and the things that I've done rushing, been all over the place, right? So a lot of really cool opportunities for me to come in and do a lot of different things on this D line.
You mentioned conversations that you'd had with Notre Dame guys. You're now going to be back in a locker room with Quenton Nelson. You shared time at Notre Dame with former Colt Matthias Farley. What did those guys tell you about playing for the Colts, what this locker room is like, what this fan base is like?
Yeah, I mean they're fired up about this locker room and the organization. One of the first things that Quentin told me, he's like, "Man, you're gonna love this locker room," and I think it's something that is not talked about enough. I mean that is a piece of winning. What is your locker room like? How are guys interacting with each other? What is the culture just around appreciating teammates and like actually having a group that's committed together to winning a championship? So that's massive. And then not a Notre Dame guy, but played for the Chargers forever. Phillip, I mean, you get to know Phillip and you know who he is, you know how he approaches his work. For him to even choose to come to the Colts, it's a great organization, right? Because he's not going to go to a organization that's not up to par. So I haven't talked to Phil about it, but again, there's some assumptions that are made. So all those things considered, everybody's fired up about the Colts organization.
So how much were you able to follow Phillip last year and then, and as an extension of that, get to know a little bit about this team just based on wanting to see Phillip succeed in his final year in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, he had a great year last year. Was definitely watching it. I mean, there was a part of me, especially when we knew we weren't going to the playoffs. I'm like, man, I hope the Colts win because you play with him for a few years and you see how he approaches his day to day, how much of a competitor he is. You want him to win a championship. So I was pulling for him like crazy last year to win a championship. And then, just what he said about the organization, what you see literally on the screen when they're playing, just you can just feel it. You could feel that there was like great chemistry and great vibes. So I was fired up for him. I hate that his career ended with him not winning a Super Bowl, but the dude's the ultimate competitor. It was such a pleasure to play with him.
Another guy you played with, Quenton Nelson, in several seasons at Notre Dame, being a defensive lineman. What were those battles like with Quenton Nelson when he came into South Bend?
Yeah, he's a great player. Right when he came to South Bend as a freshman, I remember we had like the 225 bench test. We did it once a year. And I think his first year, he came and roped out like 30 plus reps. And I'm like, this dude is super strong, like next level strong as a freshman. And then he just continued to progress. But you knew when when he was 19 years old that he was going to be a great player. And you saw the career that he had at Notre Dame. Got drafted 6th overall, and he's been, arguably one of the most popular guards in like NFL history. Maybe that's the Colts doing, maybe that's his doing, whatever it is. He's a great player. I'm excited to go against him.
How excited are you as well, just based on the very early conversations that you've been able to have with your defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, and your defensive line coach, Brian Baker?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I sat down and talked to Coach Bake for, about an hour and a half when I was out there. And I'm just excited about his coaching style. I'm excited about his personality. Again, those are things that are very important when it comes to winning championships. How is the D-line room? Are they meshing? Do guys get along with their coach? It's all very important things. So I'm super excited about those things. He's already given me great advice about how I can change my game to get better. And that gets me excited. I mean, I'm 3 days into being a Colt, right? Or I signed, a couple days ago already, and he's already coaching me up. So I love it. I love the energy. I love just the mindset on the defense. If you got to be in shape, you got to get to the ball. We're going to be going 100% of the time. That gets me fired up. So I'm super optimistic about the relationships that I'm going to have with the whole defensive coaching staff. And, again, we're trying to win a championship. So excited to, go on that journey with them.
Grover Stewart, a fellow Georgia guy, before you guys have an opportunity to get to work here at the facility, will you guys try to maybe get together, coordinate schedules, get some workouts in the meantime?
Yeah, I'm going to be trying to get in contact with these guys and get some work in with them. I'm not in Georgia right now. I'm actually in Arizona, and then I'm going to be out in Indy probably in about a month. So I'm hoping to run into some of those guys actually in Indianapolis. I got to hit up Robert Mathis at some point. Couldn't wear 98, so I'm gonna train with 98. It's
a good trade-off.
It is. It was funny because I was my agency just made a quick graphic with me in a Colts uniform, and I had 98 on, and these folks on Twitter were like, what's Robert Mathis gonna think? And he tweeted at me, and I felt like a little kid when he tweeted at me. I'm like telling my fiance, like, look at this. And I was like, did I get his blessing? But, I'm super happy that I don't have his number. Dude's a legend, and that's his space. But, yeah, the point is, when I get out to Indianapolis, I'm going to try to train with him and train with all these guys. At the end of the day, I've said it earlier. It's like compete and get better, right? So that's my goal. And if that means training with these guys in all these different places, I'm going to do it, and I'm fired up about it.
We are fired up for you to be a Colt. You mentioned your competitiveness, and reading the description of you and your attributes as a person and as a player. Noted your consistency. You rarely missed a game. I think didn't miss a game the last 3 seasons. Your work ethic, your infectious personality, which we can see immediately. But what do you want Colts fans to know about you before they're able to see you out there on the field, hopefully come training camp there in late July?
I think at the end of the day, we're trying to bring a championship home to Indianapolis. If that's all the fans know, that's a win, right? And my goal personally is to come in and compete. And like I said, make the whole organization, Colts fans, everybody super excited that they signed number 91. So I'm super excited about it. But at the end of the day, the goal doesn't change. I'm trying to finish my career at some point, having held up multiple Super Bowl trophies. And that starts now. So I'm excited about it.
And what a better place to start doing it than right here. Isaac Rochell, so great to have you. Thanks so much for taking the time with us. We will see you here soon. Swing back by the studio and chat with us when you're here for that visit.
Oh, no doubt.